Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. So welcome to the third of 6 videos in our Returnal Longplay series here. So we are going to be thoroughly exploring the Derelict Citadel in this video, which is the third biome in the last biome of Act 1. I think we're gonna check our equipment here just to see where we left off. So coming off from the end of video 2, we have some parasites that have some good effects, including an extra life. I decided to pick up the pistol that has snub nose barrel weapon trait that we're starting to unlock here. And yeah, we're just gonna roll. So excuse me. So just as a couple of quick disclaimers, I'm gonna say this at the beginning of every video in the series, but the first thing is there's a lot of movement, a lot of motion, a lot of camera movement here. So if you are sensitive to quick movements and changes in perspective and all of that stuff, just wanted to put a warning there for you folks who might be a little bit more susceptible to motion sickness or whatever you might be dealing with. And the other thing, as you can see here, I'm using abilities that you unlock throughout the game. So I have this is basically like think of like a Dead Cells like completed file where I have all the weapons, I have all the abilities. So while I'm not going to be getting into gameplay story spoilers, except for the endings that I'm going to show at the end of this video and the end of the 6th video, which I will both put in the comments, or excuse me, put in the description, as well as give a verbal spoiler warning for that. There are gameplay spoilers, so you're going to see all of the abilities. Again, even though it's not technically a story spoiler, I would consider them gameplay spoilers. So and with that, we're off. So as you can see here, I'm already taking my time making my way through this first room here before we actually get into the Citadel proper. You can see from the timestamps, or I should say the video length, this is a 46 minute video. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff here. These environments are generally it's like a mix of sort of, you know, larger and smaller kind of things, but the first section here is mostly open. So we're going to be exploring the outskirts of, not the castle outskirts, thankfully. We're going to be exploring the outskirts of the Derelict Citadel here. And similar to the Crimson Wastes, which was in video 2, there are 3 sections to this. So the first section is this sort of outdoor, dilapidated arboretum. No, I'm kidding. Dilapidated ruins kind of thing. The second area is more, you kind of go into this big building and there's like a mix of external and like inside and outside environments. And then finally, kind of similar, there's a similar vibe to Biome 2 where you're going to be climbing a tower. The whole general purpose of this first act, and this is made clear right from the beginning, the intro cinematic shows something called it's like a distress signal from White Shadow. So Celine is trying to figure out what White Shadow is, and that is the culmination of this biome, where basically, you know, you start to explore a little bit of what that might be. So the third area, like I said, there's three areas here, and what we're seeing here, so every biome has their own enemies in it. There's like a little bit of overlap here and there, but generally there's like a certain kit that you're going to see. And Biome 3 here introduces you to the drones, which 100%, I can say this confidently, is everybody's least favorite enemy. So what happens, like you can see here, as I'm getting these enemies down to about a quarter health or maybe half health or whatever, they dive bomb you. So in addition to that, they're going to be shooting direct projectiles at you. They have more of like that, I'm pretty sure they have like that sort of ground AoE, similar to that attack right there. So when you get groups of them, they're challenging. Super tricky, you know, they move quickly. I just used a consumable there. Sub-Zero Pulse, it's great. Freezes an enemy so you can just wail on it a bit. They move really fast, and in groups they're challenging. I don't love them. They actually, here we go. Let's get some more of them. There are some great ways to deal with them. The alt fire that I just used there, shock I forget exactly. It's not shockwave. I forget exactly what it's called. But that's sort of short range electricity kind of thing. That's a great way to deal with them, especially if they pop out of a chest like that. Really good. Yeah, see, I'm going to use it here to kill this enemy as well. That's a great, in my opinion, it's one of the better alt fires. So yeah, you gotta watch out for those. And slight spoiler, they return in Biome 5, and somehow they're worse. Somehow they are way worse. But that's sort of part of the enemy kit for this biome here. As I mentioned in the other couple videos, I'm going to be doing full clears here. So this is every side room, killing every enemy, getting all the pickups, or I should say all the pickups that are going to be relevant or viable for me to pick up. So this is going to be a longer video. If you are looking for more of a straight up sort of bare bones Returnal gameplay video, this isn't it. But however, if you are looking for a very long, very long-winded commentary on Returnal, you have come to the right place. So, and this is one of the side rooms. So you'll see here, there's these sort of teleporters that open up like little gateways. You're going to see those very frequently in this biome, and they'll take you to a room. So I think I went through 2 of them so far. The first one ended up bringing me to an area that had what did it have? It had I think they're called reclaimers, I forget, but there's those beds. I mentioned it in the second video. Those red beds, when you sit in them, it will take some of your health, but it will give you an item, usually an artifact, in return. Artifacts are kind of like mutations here. And there's also, so this area is bringing me to some parasites. So parasites are basically these items that you pick up. They attach to your suit, so it's super cool. So you can actually see like the red glowing parasites. So just by looking at Celine, I can see that I have 4 parasites, right? There's 1 on her back, 1 on each arm, and then 1 on her right leg there. And they give you a positive bonus and a negative bonus. So well, I guess it's not really a negative bonus. It's more like there's a positive bonus and a negative effect, I think is the best way to put it. So I like to stack parasites as long as the negative effects aren't too bad, and don't put me in a position where I'm going to have some issues. So some of the stuff that I avoid at all costs, there's one where you take damage when you pick up items. That's awful, incredibly bad. Never take that. Let me rephrase that. Only take that if you are going into the final boss of this level and you're not going to have to pick anything up, but there's no real use case for it. Another one is enemies leave behind a pool of acid. There's a adrenaline mechanic at the bottom of the screen, that heartbeat there, and when you get hit, it gets interrupted. So the pools of acid are a really bad way for your adrenaline streak to get broken. So don't recommend that. And then other ones too, dash cooldown is horrible. Don't take that. But yeah, so I will avoid those regardless. But some of the other negative consequences of parasites, it might be, like take more damage, or, when it pops off, it's going to give you malfunctions, or, whatever it is. I'm generally more liberal with those, but yeah, so we are starting to make our way into the second section here. So this is the internal, like I was mentioning, we already made it quickly. So the outside section was actually really short. It's generally a little bit longer than that, but you made it to the inside here, which is a nice balance, again, of sort of like more contained areas as well as larger arenas and environments. So like this room, you're going to see this room. Pretty sure this is a 100% spawn rate room, and you're going to see this all the time, where it's you come into this internal environment, and then you have to sort of make your way down here. There's going to always be a shop on the left hand side, and then as you continue across that bridge, depending on the configuration, you'll see some different things. I guess this is also a good time, as I'm kind of picking stuff up here, and something else you may have noticed too is as I go through, you'll see me pick up consumables and then leave them on the ground. And the reason for that is there's a data bank here that has item descriptions and lore, and kind of like Dark Souls lore, but it's like insanely deep. And those are triggered by picking up items, whether it's artifacts or the Sylphium stuff or consumables. So whenever I see an item, I'll pick it up and drop it, even if I don't need it. So that way, it will add to the percentage of my data bank. So that way, the lore is going to fill out more quickly. You definitely do not have to do that. It's just one of my many annoyingly small optimizations that helps me feel like I'm kind of squeezing all the juice out of the game as I can. But what I was going to say is, let's talk a little bit about level and room generation here. So this is more similar. It's more similar to like a Hades than a Dead Cells, right? So instead of there being sections of tiles or sections of areas that get random, or I should say procedurally generated into a room, these rooms are all handmade. They're all hand built. There is procedural generation that connects the rooms, so you will most likely you will never see the exact same biome back to front. You will see similar rooms connected to similar rooms, but the actual layout's always going to be different. So with here, oh man, so I just got a malfunction. The malfunction I have is awful. Suffer damage when collecting items. So I think I have an item that gets rid of my malfunctions. I hope I use it. I hope I use it in order to clear that malfunction. But like I said, similar to Hades, these rooms are all hand built. And am I going to forget about it? I totally forgot about it. The rooms are all hand built. So whenever you see a particular room that looks familiar, it will likely be the same exact room that you've seen before. Some of the rooms have variations on them. Like I said, there's always this room here with the bridge, but that doesn't mean that this area that I'm going into is always going to generate. So, you'll see a lot of the same rooms. And for me, like, I don't know, some folks think that that's a little, like, things feel a little bit samey. But for me, I appreciate it because it gives me more experience within these environments, so that way I can tailor my approach and I can tailor my attacks, and I know, okay, here's the safe spot behind this tree. When the enemies spawn, I can sort of, hang out behind this pole, or like, here's where I can expect the exit to be, so that way I can escape if I need to, so on and so forth. So I personally like it a lot. But that's what you can expect here. So once you come into a room, so here, this is like it's like a weapon, I don't know what you would call it, like a little armory, I guess you could say. So whenever you go into that area, you will always see 3 chests. The way that you get there is always the same. So you'll see here as I come into the room, there's going to be a ramp on the right that I'm going to go up. It's going to cross across the room. I'm going to go across this sort of center structure. There's going to be a Sylphium on the right, and then a grappling hook to the left. So this is always the same, always the same. So for me, it brings comfort, and it's also, like I said, it's like a nice, in the combat rooms, it makes it easier for me to understand what's coming up and how to approach it. So a little bit more, consumable optimization, similar to what I did at the beginning of Biome 2. I picked up the weapon harvester, and basically because I knew that there was going to be 3 items here, I'm going to recycle one of them. So that's why I picked that up. It looks like we have a parasite that we're not going to take. The negative effect on that is not worth it. And I decided to keep those weapons there just in case I need them for the boss, or in case I get stuck later and I don't have weapon traits to unlock. That's the progress bar right above the consumable slot. In case there's stuff like that, I just want to make sure I have a failsafe, because again, like I had said before in the other videos, I feel very confident because I have 2 extra lives here, but at the same time, things can go wrong, right? Things can go wrong even if you're having an amazing run. So just wanted to keep that stuff on the map, just in case here. So at the end of the last video, I beat the second biome boss. I beat Ixion, and then it dropped an artifact called Resinous Shield. So I briefly touched on it there. And real quick, if you haven't seen the other 2 videos in the series, I recommend checking those out. as I go over a lot of the concepts. This is the same run, so every biome, this picks up where video 2 left off, video 2 picks up where video 1 left off. So it's kind of like it's like a long play that's divided into parts here. So I recommend checking that out if you haven't, so that way you can get a little bit more background. Of course, you do not need to. You can also watch these individually out of order, whatever you'd like. But there might be a couple of pieces or sort of like story's not the right word, just some threads that I want to pick up that may not be clear, right? So resinous shield. So you'll see in the bottom left, and one of the other things I love about this game is I love how the HUD is restricted to the corners and like the bottom. Like I feel like even though there's a lot of information here, so right from the bat I can see what my malfunction is. I know what my consumables are: health, resin, proficiency, alt fire, adrenaline level, map. Like I can see all that stuff, but it doesn't get in the way, in my opinion. I love the HUD here. But if you look at the bottom left, there's a yellow triangle shield. What am I picking up here? Oh, sweet. I guess I left those on the map so that way I could get the weapon traits instead of just having a way out. So good for me, man. Past me is making some good decisions here. But resinous shield is an artifact, which is, artifacts are kind of like mutations. You pick them up. You can have 15 of them instead of 3, but you pick them up and they will affect your run in a way that will give you additional combat abilities, additional perks, additional things, but they don't necessarily completely change the run in most cases. Resinous shield is probably the most powerful artifact. There's a couple other ones. There's like adrenaline leech, and there's 1 or 2 other ones that I think I pick up maybe in the second trio of videos in Act 2, but resinous shield's great. So whenever you pick up a Sylphian resin, it will give you a shield. You can see when Celine has a shield because there's that like blue sort of electricity around her. Whenever you get hit, whenever you have a shield, whether it's from taking a resin with resinous shield, or if you have full adrenaline, when you get your adrenaline to level 5, which is what I have right now, you also get a shield. So you can stack your shields. You can have an adrenaline shield and a resinous shield, but every time you pick up a resin, it's going to give you a shield. The resinous shields do not stack though, right? So if I were to pick up, I just did, if you pick up a second resin, it's not going to give you 2 shields. That would be way too overpowerful. But if you do take a hit, the shield will go away, and then you can, like right here, you can see that the shield went away. As soon as I, maybe not. I was going to say as soon as I find another resin, I'll be able to tank another hit. But because I got hit, it's going to be, oh, here we go, malignant resin. Boom, resinous shield. There we go. So that's why it's super powerful. So you can just kind of make your way around the map, take a hit, leave the resins as they are, pick them up as you get hit, and basically have a very long chain of not taking damage. So really great stuff. Resinous shield is one of the things that I recommend always picking up. So along with the astronaut figurine, or the child's watch, which also gives you an extra life, you can only have one of those at a time. If you see that, pick it up. If you see resinous shield, pick it up. If you see the aforementioned adrenaline leech, pick it up. But resinous shield is 5 out of 5, A+ S tier. However you want to say it here. So I walked into this teleporter, like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to pick all those up. And here it brings me into a room with an elite. So this elite is a malformed elite. So it's not like the other ones that we've seen. You can tell the difference because they have an orange health bar. The health bar is changing a little bit because the lobber is doing poison damage, but in general they have an orange health bar. They do not have a stagger bar, which is something I haven't touched on yet, which I will. They do much more damage. Their attacks are more what's the word? They're just more urgent. There's a lot of other stuff. They have unavoidable attacks sometimes, like that purple ring. You can't dodge through that. Those little red arrows are going to give me malfunctions if I hit it. So like these are pretty wild. They do drop weapons. I can't remember if the weapons are of better quality or not, but these dudes are tough. They're generally really tough. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to fight everything. I'm going to go through every every door, every whatever. So I'm not gonna shy away from the difficult stuff there. So, but yeah. So as I mentioned, with room generation, whenever you walk through a portal and you see this sort of hexagonal shape structure and you see that chest at the end right here, there's always going to be a malformed elite in here, no matter what. So be prepared. You'll see the severed like I just did, or it's going to be one of those crawling automatons that I've killed a few times. Dudes, no legs, are just kind of crawling around, and when you kill them, you end up they end up setting out like a red shockwave. So you'll see those there. So they're not they're not super easy. But yeah, that's how you can tell the difference between a malformed elite and a regular one, is the color of their health bar and the insanity of their attacks. So I'm cruising here. I'm feeling pretty good. So I got my Resonant Shield. I have full health. Again, just doing full clears here. I'm just going to probably see what's in this weapon chest. All of the blue chests always have weapons. I'm going to see what's in there. Nothing I want, because I'm in the process of unlocking Explosive Rot 2. And if you're following the thread here, Explosive Rot 1 is something I unlocked in the first or second video. I can't remember. And when a weapon trait has a 2 next to it, it is the same thing but more powerful. So, and another Hades reference. So think of your boons, right? So you can get a common boon, what is it? Common, uncommon, rare, and epic, I think, or what is it? Common, rare, and epic, and then heroic. I forget exactly what. It's so funny. I played that game for like 500 hours. I can't remember. I haven't played it in a while, so I can't remember. But I know it's common. I know one of them are common. I think it's common, rare, and epic. But those traits are similar, right? So you could pick up a lobber that, if you had Explosive Rot 1, 2, and 3 unlocked, you could pick up a lobber that just has Explosive 1. You could pick one up that has Explosive 2, Explosive 3. Doesn't matter. So where I am now, so I'm in a challenge room. This is the third one that I faced. There's one in every biome, and going to go through all of them. 3 waves of enemies, and I think this one here is one of my least favorites. I love the actual design of this room. I like how the staircases move around. I love how many grappling points there are, which will give you invulnerability frames. I don't know why I said that instead of iframes, but it gives you iframes and invulnerability time as you hook to them. So you'll see me. I'm probably going to do it a couple times here. If things start right here, things start to get a little hectic, I'll do that to reposition myself and avoid some attacks. But I don't love the enemies here. So the first room is full of turrets and those legless automatons that I had mentioned. Second phase here has those has the drones. Hate the drones. Will always have hated the drones. I feel like they're a huge part of the difficulty spike as the game goes on, just because, as I mentioned, there's so many of them. Their attacks are annoying. They crash you if you don't kill them outright. So I don't love the enemy distribution, especially for the second part here. The rest of it's actually not too bad. The third phase, I think, might be the easiest, because there are those automatons on the ground that you can avoid, and then there's one elite. It's kind of like a big robot soldier type dude, which we'll see very shortly. But his attacks are easy to avoid. He's super slow. And one of his attacks is a grappling hook that pulls you in but does no damage. So not too bad. The most tricky part here is keeping an eye. Like, yeah, you can see they're all starting to come in, and the hard part here is not necessarily avoiding. How do I put it? The hard part here is just making sure that you keep your distance from them. As you saw, I just grouped 2 or 3 of them. The rot from the lobbers doing some great work. There was one point where like 2 or 3 of them were getting hit at the same time. There's that grappling hood I mentioned. They get hit at the same time, so it's easier to manage. And now that I cleared them out, it's just this dude. So I did take a hit from him earlier. My Resonant Shield is gone. It was when I was up on that upper platform, but now that it's just him and I, or it and I, the management is better. As you can see here, I'm gonna go across the room, gonna dodge to avoid his horizontal attacks, and he has this big slam here, which I also dodged, and he's just about done. So there we go. Gonna drop a weapon. I'm likely going to ignore it. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore it, so I keep picking up, or I should say keep working toward that Explosive Rot weapon trait. And there we go. So we got three challenge rooms done out of 6. And I I mentioned in the last video, there are ciphers you can pick up, which are basically like little pieces of language that will help you translate runes that will give you more of the story. But those are part of an achievement. You need to get them all in a level for that level's achievement, but you also need to clear every challenge room. So if you clear a challenge room and you're good, that'll check that off for the eventual achievement if you choose to get the rest of the ciphers and scout logs and all of that stuff. But challenge room, as you saw, 3 waves of enemies, lots of little pickups there. When you finish, you get some good stuff. I got a artifact called I think it was mechanoid upgrade or something, that makes it so that way I'm pretty sure the health upgrades I get when I get 3 pieces of resin are going to be more substantial. I mean, it's probably going to be like what instead of 5%, it might be 7% or something like that. But any amount of additional health is going to be helpful here. And what am I doing here? Yep. So I'm still just exploring here. So I'm trying to think, like, as I'm kind of poking around here, I'm trying to think if there are other game mechanics that I've either partially talked about or have skipped over. I know that I did want to get more into adrenaline. I'm actually going to wait. My adrenaline is full right now. I'm at 5. I'm sure at some point I'm going to take some more hits. So once that happens, I'll talk a little bit more about it and how the increases work. And I do want to talk about stagger bars. I think that this might be a good, this elite may be a good opportunity to talk about that. But I think those are the 2 things I haven't really gotten too much into. And like I said, these videos are stacking. There's threads between all of them. So and additionally, too, I don't think I've mentioned it here, I do have a Returnal beginner's guide that talks about all of this stuff even more in depth. It's much more paced and structured, so that way, if you are unfamiliar with the game and you want to get a little bit of a additional knowledge, you can do that. So underneath the enemy's health bar, you see this other bar that's slowly making its way to the right. It's a white bar, now it's orange and it's flashing. That is a stagger bar. So most enemies have a stagger bar. And what that does is once you fill it up, they get staggered, right? So some enemies, like this dude, he just sort of fell over and it gives you a chance to get an attack on him. There are some elites that will, they will have a shield that you need to break, but you can then get more attacks on them. But it's something that, like, I didn't really notice it that much at first. It just didn't, it wasn't something I was really aware of. But then once I caught onto it, I realized how important it is. Not every enemy has a stagger bar. So you'll see here, there's going to be some drones that spawn and they just have a normal health bar. There's no stagger under there. And again, every time you're in this room here, you can guarantee there's going to be at least 4, if not 8 drones that spawn. So another one of my like not favorite rooms. But the stagger bar is huge. Bosses do not have stagger bars, but elites do. Again, those malformed elites, like the purple severed guy that I fought in that teleportation room, they do not have stagger bar, but most enemies and all elites do. So really cool to pay. Really cool. It's really important to pay attention to that, so that way all right, I almost got this dude staggered. I'm feeling pretty good. Let me continue the assault here, so that when he gets staggered, I can then get some extra damage. Take advantage of that downtime. So really, really important mechanic that is not immediately obvious that you gotta keep an eye on here. So I unlocked the explosive shot for the Rockland Lobber, and now we're moving over to the Spitmaw Blaster. So actually, I'm gonna I wanted to talk about the Spitmaw. I love the Spitmaw. It's basically like a shotgun. I'm sure I'm gonna pick it up at some point, and either later in this video or towards one of the other ones or whatever. So I picked up the Pyroshell Caster. This is another. It's a grenade launcher that I mentioned in the last video. We're going to be unlocking the bouncy projectiles weapon trait. It's really good. And what I did here, so this is another bonus room. Those obolites were malignant, so I actually got malfunctions. And what I did was I broke enough of them until I got 2 malfunctions. I could avoid the 3rd for critical malfunction. And I used my malfunction I forget what it's called, nullification sphere, which is the little wrench that I have highlighted above my health that gets rid of all malfunction. So I got those two. Use the wrench to get rid of the malfunction, and then broke more of them. My original plan, I think, was to get as many malfunctions as I needed to, use the spheres so I could maximize my obolites, but I lucked out. The second malfunction that I got was to fabricate an item in order to get rid of it, and there was a fabricator right there. So all I did was I didn't have to do anything with it. I just made an item and the malfunction went away. So that worked out really well. As you can see, similar to a lot of my 5DC Dead Cells runs. As you get towards the end, or I should say, as I get towards the end, I have a lot more cash than I need. I'm going to be able to get all the items I need, the health upgrade, all of the stuff that I need before I leave. Extra healing potions or vials, whatever you want to call them, extra flasks. So it's going to be. I am in great shape. So. As I was mentioning in one of the other videos, like as I was playing this, I was like, all right, this is great. I'm going to maintain this run unless something absolutely catastrophic happens and I forget how to play the game. I'm going to maintain this run, and we'll be able to get some good footage all the way through. So we've made it through the second section of the Citadel here. So that was the interior/exterior part where there's bigger rooms and also some smaller, tighter rooms. The area that I just went to at the end, there is a cutscene. If you go there for the first time, that is how the bridge that I'm about to go down gets expanded, and we make our way into this tower where, again, towards the end of a level, we're going to be making our way up. So Act 1 is all about ascension. It's all about you start in the overgrown ruins, and then once you hit that once you hit the Crimson Waste, you start climbing up. You make your way all the way up, and then you go through a teleporter and you come here, and then you're zipping around, you're going up, right? So that's a huge symbolic part of Celine's journey during Act 1. So all right, so I take a hit here. This is going to sound funny. I hope I take another hit so I can talk about adrenaline. I briefly went over it in the first video. It's the heartbeat that's at the bottom of the screen. Every adrenaline level gives you... Oh my god, I'm still trying to get money here. Jeez, I don't even need it. Every adrenaline level gives you a bonus. If we're going to go left to right, the first one is increased overload, which is your reload capability. Gives you a bigger window to get a better reload. Let me see if I'm going to... I actually haven't talked about that yet. I'll also get to that at some point. The second one lets you see enemies through walls, so that way you'll be able to have a better idea of where they are. The third one gives you more, it's an enhanced melee attack, so you do more damage. The fourth one gives you more proficiency, so the more enemies you kill, the higher that your proficiency level will be. And then the fifth one is increased obolites. So you'll notice the obolites I'm picking up almost have like an orange haze around them, and those are the ones that are going to give me more obolites. So super important to get your adrenaline level up. Try not to get hit. It sounds like such a dumb thing to say, but in Returnal it's really important, because the less you get hit, the more health you'll get from the resins, the better, the more your adrenaline's going to go up, and just in general, the better you'll be able to sort of manage things. You'll notice that now to the left of my health bar, there's a plus sign, little circle with the plus sign. So what that means is I am at maximum health. So I'm at, I think it's 300% is where you cap out. So if you do not have Resinous Shield, there is no reason to pick up Resins. You're already maxed out. That's what they're for. But if you do have Resinous Shield, like I do, it's always worth picking up resin if you don't have a shield. So even though I am maxed out, if I do find another, resin, I'm going to pick it up. But that's it. So I was fortunate enough, I think, between like the upgrade mechanoid, full clears, and also doing a pretty decent job of either not taking a lot of hits or utilizing that incredibly powerful resonance shield to make sure that my adrenaline level stays up. I actually don't know if I mean, obviously I've gotten hit, like my shield's gone there, and you can see I just got it back. I've obviously gotten hit, but I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if I've actually dropped my adrenaline level. So that's that's pretty sweet. That's great. So here we are. So we're at the end of the third level, believe it or not. So we're getting ready to take on the boss. How long did that take? 35 minutes. So made it through the level actually around a similar time as the other two. The last maybe 5 or 7 minutes, whatever it is, of the video is going to be the endings, which I'm not going to talk over. I'm just going to say my goodbyes after I finish the boss. But about 35 minutes to come through here, and we're making our way to the final boss of Act 1, the last boss of level 3. Oh, it looks like, oh, that's right, I have a ton of money, so I'm gonna hit the shop up, and I'm gonna go for broke, as close I'm gonna go for as close to broke as I can. So what am I doing here? Picking up the alt fire augment just because, I guess. Might as well spend the money. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy a small Sylphium vial here because I already have 4 of them. Jeez, I already have 4 of them. That's pretty wild. Generally, the way that I end Biome 3 is I will have large Sylphium vials wherever I can. I will have small Sylphium vials, and then I'll have a third consumable that will be helpful for whatever it is. But in this level, yeah, so I have Damage Siphon. Damage Siphon is a great consumable. It basically, when you use it, you will continually heal when you hit enemies until you get hit 2 times. So really easy way to get a big chunk of health back. Nice little panic button. And I think here I am going to grab a different gun. So I think the Tachymatic Carbine was here. It is. So 3 cheers for good memory. Somehow when I was playing, I remembered to come back here to pick up that gun. And the reason for it, so it's like it's the the equivalent of, that's the word I was looking for earlier. It's the equivalent of a machine gun here in Returnal. And the reason why I picked it up for the boss is because it can hit the boss at any distance. As we'll see, the bosses really far away when you play the third phase of the fight, and the carbine can hit everywhere. So right here I'm going to give a spoiler warning. If you do not want to see this amazing boss, here's a good time to stop. The first time I saw it, my mind got blown. So if you haven't seen the boss and you want to experience it yourself, I recommend halting. I recommend pressing the pause button or closing the video or whatever it is. But if you do want to see it, this boss is a spectacle boss. So it's not too difficult as far as mechanics and patterns and all of that stuff, but it is meant to be a visual experience. So that severed kind of like knocks you out, and it's never clear where you are, if you're in a different plane of consciousness, if this is all in Celine's head or whatever it is, but you awaken in the middle of the sky as high up as possible. So we are so high above the Citadel, you can't see anything here. So we're up in the sky here, and this is Nemesis. So when I first, like I had mentioned a couple times, some of the first experiences I had when my best friend and I, when we were playing the first time, we played together. When we first got here, it was just like, oh my God, like what, like what is going on here? Nemesis has one weak point. It's either the chest or the hands or whatever it is. You can see the red like heart type structure there. So that's where you want to shoot. And yeah, so the first, like I mentioned, the first phase isn't too bad. You can see his health is going down pretty quickly. Just doing some really good work here with the carbine. And the other part, yeah, I remembered. I mean, here we are, 2 videos too late. When I was fighting the first boss, I mentioned boss scaling and damage, and I didn't go back to it. What's great about Returnal bosses is that they do not do a ton of damage. So you're going to fight enemies, you'll fight elites in the biomes, and like those, what do you call them? Those drones that can take you on like 3 or 4 hits. Your health bar, unless you're super maxed out, your health bar is going to get chunked. It's awful. Like, deaths come so quickly in this game. But bosses do not do that much damage to you. So you can see I took one hit and my health bar is, I don't know, I'm not even, what is that, 5%, right? So the Returnal gives you an opportunity to spend more time learning the boss's patterns and getting into the fights. So I really appreciate the boss scaling here. It's not like you get a tactics run, you go to fight Hand of the King and he hits you twice and then your disengagement pops and you're just like, oh my god, the fights, I'm done, right? So there's a lot more leeway, a lot more room for error with the bosses, which is appropriate. I mean, look at all the stuff that's happening. We have these two, I don't know, what are they, fetuses? They're these two, these fetus type things that are shooting horizontal, beams at you. There's the attacks coming from Nemesis. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's really great that the bosses give you some extra time to kind of warm up. And here we go. I'm taking so much damage, and look at that. I got, what is that, 10%, 15% of my health, 20, whatever it is, right? From a lore perspective, I don't want to, Housemarque keeps things pretty open-ended when it comes to what is actually going on here. There are story beats that blatantly negate, what's the word I'm looking for? Contradict other parts. Everything's really, everything's very vague, but there is a thread that does involve birth, or the lack thereof. So if you do play and you notice some of the statues that are grasping their stomach or things like this, it's really there's some really subtle show don't tell storyline type things. So here we go. So I'm so far away from Nemesis, and as you can see here, the carbine is able to hit its weak point from this far apart. Normally what would happen is you'd be jumping on these platforms. You would need to get closer. So as you can see, you can use your grappling hook to latch onto them and make your way closer and closer to Nemesis. But because I have the carbine, I can just sort of hang back. So that's another tip. If you're coming in here and you have a carbine that's available, you're going to want to take it with you for sure. And as you can see here, the ammo count in the middle's getting low. When I get to the end of it, let's see if I'm going to get to the end here. Am I going to? Maybe not. As you can see, the ammo slowly refills. I was going to talk really briefly about the overload mechanic. Here we go. So you can see the reload. If you hit in the middle, it gives you extra bullets in your clip, and that's what the first level of adrenaline allows you to work with. And with that, I think we're done, right? Boom. There we go. So third boss done. Final boss of Act 1 complete. Nemesis is, like I said, visual spectacle, really great boss, more of a story thing than like an actual difficulty gameplay sort of thing. And here we are. So this is the end of Act 1. Act 2 will start with Biome 4. It's basically like a fresh run. So this is the end. So we're gonna see some story bits. Here's where the spoilers are gonna kick in. Celine's gonna look into this, and she's going to get some visions of the past or of the future. We don't know. And here's where the ending is going to kick off. So I'm going to drop off here. I hope this was enjoyable. Like I said, this is video 3 of 6. We're going to be kicking off Act 2 in video 4. Hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the ending, right? As always, thanks for watching, and good luck out there.
Received my signal. Then